Okay, starting up here in the top right of Polypoid. Our red Terran player, it's Gypsy. And in the top left, our blue Protoss, it's Dragon. Okay, so the map is Polypoid. You know, I chose Polypoid as the starting map just because it's like pretty vanilla. It feels like pretty reasonable in all the matchups, I think. Maybe PvZ is the hardest out of the matchups there. I'm not sure 100% on that, but yeah, I think it's a reasonable one to start on. And you know, 4-player, fun times. Now, between these two, I feel like it's pretty even. Like I was saying before we actually started the games today, I really don't know who's gonna win this group. Right? Like, honestly, all the groups, I wasn't really sure who was going to take it. It was all pretty close. I was kind of feeling Nyokin on group 3 a little bit. But actually, it was, yeah, I don't know. It was pretty close as well. Like, Models had some sick games. Striker was picking it up there at the end. All these players just very, very high levels overall. But between Gypsy and Dragon, I guess I feel like, here's what it is. Dragon has done a lot more than Gypsy in Brood War. He has, like, many more accomplishments. He's done better in tournaments and things like that. So maybe you could give him the lead in that way. But honestly, I feel like Gypsy is probably the most talented active Brood War foreigner, if that makes sense. And I mentioned this before when he was playing as well. There's some players that play really, really, really well mechanically and micro-wise and don't necessarily work as hard to do that. Like, for instance, when I watch Gypsy's micro, like, if you watch him move his SCVs, it looks like a pro gamer, like a Flash or something moving SCVs. Like, his micro is, like, really, really amazing, and then his macro is super fluid as far as a foreigner goes. Like, very, very good. He reminds me a lot of Rhett, where if you could get the guy to sit down and actually practice hardcore for any amount of time, he'd probably be #1 amongst the foreigners, which was always the case with Rhett, right? Like, but he'd go inactive a lot back in the day. So I just think he's a very talented player, and I think he's been active enough lately that I kind of feel like maybe he's got a slight advantage. But I don't know. Dragon is just, he's good under pressure. He does well in tournaments, and he's a super high level player. So we will just see. Gypsy now going for the gasless expand. He did add the second depot, right? So he made this first depot. This helps you pop the SCVs out and mine a little bit better. Made the barracks down here, and then made second depot, but no gas. So he slowed this down a little bit, but prevents any sort of supply block. So very high econ. Yeah, I guess that's all there is to say. Your command center is just like slightly later, but it doesn't really matter. A third Marine being made. Not exactly sure if he needs that yet, but I guess actually he can afford it very easily because he did get this depot so quickly. But you can see the building placement here is awesome. Zealots can't fit around there. That's a Marine micro hole right there. He's got 3 Marines in there now and lands the barracks, so you can't really run past. And now he can just repair this when he needs. Now, this SCV running away from the Dragoon just going to chase it down. There's still a while before that range upgrade is done. The quickest Dragoon range ever comes is at about 430, maybe 425. So, Dragon very smart to chase that SCV down. No reason to send it immediately to the bunker. Throws down his own Nexus. And you really want to stop scouting because there becomes this question for Terran. Is there some sort of cheese at play, like a robo, right? You could build a robo here or a robo here and try to do like a reaver push. That's become somewhat popular. Snow made that a bit popular. Yeah, as we can see, there's nothing. Of course, he doesn't have enough scouting intel, so he's just going to make the engineering bay blind, which makes a lot of sense. And we'll see if he goes into siege or he just tries to utilize the tanks normally. Normally, when you see the engineering bay, it will be siege mode, though. Now, Gypsy's SCV coming up. Dragon blocking this.
1000 solid tourney, Mr. Tossis. I'm sure all the guys in the chat really appreciate it.
Nice. Let's pick that off. Thank you so much, Sergeant Pone. I do appreciate it, man. Thanks for coming by. Glad that you're enjoying. Glad you all are liking Ascension. Big thanks to everyone who helped out on it, and the players, of course, for trusting and joining in this tournament before understanding what it was really going to be. All right, so the Dragoons just put a little bit of damage on this bunker. Gypsy repairing it nicely. We'll see if he starts siege right away. Yeah, he's getting armory, so 100% siege will be coming up. The only reason you would not get siege would be to get additional factories up more quickly so that you could get some aggression, but as soon as you see the armor, you know it's a macro game.
X500, can you ever play bio into Protoss, or are you always priced in?
All right, thank you, Heptagon. I don't know why I can't actually mute these. Okay, anyways, yeah, bio is always a cheese move against Protoss, just to make that clear. Anyways, we do have the 4 Dragoons pelting away at the bunker. He does have to repair quite a bit. He's going to have siege mode just momentarily here, so we'll be able to push that back. We don't have a turret as of yet. He didn't really get a full scout, but seeing the amounts of Dragoons probably feels pretty good there. And finally, with that siege done, I'm going to push that back. Anyways, like I was talking about before, right? As soon as you see the armor, you know that he's going to be playing a defensive macro game. He's going to almost certainly go into a 3rd CC. That's generally what it's going to be with an armory. Dragon taking another base. Now, this was like pretty greedy counterplay from Dragon, where he went 1 gate and a robo into a 3rd nexus, but he is adding 3 more gateways now. So if Gypsy was going for a timing attack, Dragon will be able to pump out a good amount of units, but Gypsy's not doing that. So the fact that Dragon somewhat blindly had to go into 4 gates, he'll probably produce steadily from here and focus on slowing down the 3rd base speed for Gypsy. That's most likely what we're going to end up seeing. Just 1 second, guys. All right. So actually put up a starport rather quickly here. And that's probably just to continue his upgrades forward. Although there are some builds out right now, like the quick 3-2 build, where you're actually going to stay on 2 base for a very long time. He adds a 3rd factory, but that generally pairs with the starport. Like if you're going to be going starport before your 3rd command center, you generally get the 3rd factory as well. But it looks like he's getting ready to make that factory now. Plenty of Dragoons out for Dragon. Citadel coming up. Oh, pops 4 Zealots, so we have a good idea of what he's planning on. Few Vultures running past, but Dragon sealed up pretty tight. Double pylon wall here. Good amount of Dragoons. Double pylons there. Yeah, he's not going to find any damage with these Zealots. And we should be, yeah, I was just going to say we should be seeing a shuttle pop out now, because as soon as you see the 4 Zealots, that really signals what Dragon's game plan is here, right? You don't just make 4 Zealots to have on the ground. They go into a shuttle early on. And he'll probably go back into Dragoons from here, although you can make like a Zealot or 2 to tank for those goons. Either way, it's a pretty powerful move to do things like just sit a bunch of units here, and if Terran pushes up too quickly, you can attack in and kill a bunch of their units. If they push up nice and slowly and carefully, you just walk away. Simple as that. So I think that's what we'll end up seeing from Dragon. Of course, he's he doesn't, I guess, yeah, he has his observer right here. He doesn't necessarily need to move until he sees stuff coming out. Now, Gypsy getting up to his academy, as well as the double armory. Already has that +2 going up to 5 factories. Yeah, no, pretty good timing on the factories as well, I want to say. He doesn't have that big of an army, so he can't actually lift this right now, in my opinion. I think he has to wait just a little bit. He is slowing Dragon down a tiny bit, right? Like, he's laying a few mines. Dragon's having to clear these areas. He wants to take his 4th very clearly here. Sending the probe over now. And here we go. Gypsy just going to move out. Dragon actually has a pretty fearsome army, and he wasn't really in position to slow this like I was predicting. He could have, though. He has enough that he absolutely could have slowed this. Let's look at the actual size, right? There's 12 goons. So he's got like almost 20 goons. Like let's call it 15 to 17 goons he could have had over here, as well as the shuttle with 4 zealots. And like 6 tanks and 4 marines. You can't actually push up that quickly. So I think what happened was Gypsy's vultures were kind of harassing a little bit, and then Dragon had his dragoons over here to make sure he could clear out to take that new base, and so he was not in a position to delay this. So I think that was a good read from Gypsy in that situation. He probably scanned up here as well before he moved, because you need to check things like that. But really well done. 7th factory, or 6th factory rather, coming up right now, continuing forward with those upgrades, and we'll see if he wants to add a 4th command or if he's just going to mass up really quickly. This is the moment where you're going to figure that out, because generally with this build, you're going to go up to 7 factories at least, and you can go up to 8 or 9, but I think, yeah, I guess since it was a gasless expand, 9 factories probably best. And yeah, it looks like that's what it's going to be. This one just waiting. I think it took the command and then didn't do it. So Gypsy's macro here is going to get really out of control momentarily. Let's take a look at what Dragon is up to. Stargate on the way, so he is going towards Arbiters, but it's not ready yet. Sending the probe down. Has some decent cannon placement here to stop any harassment, but Gypsy is not going to do too much harassment, I think. Like, if you're going up to 9 facts like this very quickly, and you're getting your upgrades, you don't want to waste vultures harassing. Vultures are very good at harassing, obviously, but like if you're trying to hit a timing attack, if you're trying to get across the map and actually kill your opponent, you don't want to lose those extra units. It doesn't matter if you kill 5 or 10 probes right now, right? It's if you're going to try to kill him, you want a few extra vultures with your army. Of course, there's always you know, the balancing of like what is the good sacrifice of the vultures, where's that middle ground, right? Because it's not always a smart move to just do a timing attack where you have a few extra vultures, but then it's like, oh god, you didn't quite kill him, maybe that harassment would have been better. Anyways, Gypsy is taking a 4th on location. You can see the power of a gasless expand like this. His SCV saturation is super healthy across the bases. You can see this, honestly, like you're not going to find a foreign Terran with better macro than this. Like maybe as good macro, but this is basically peak right here. Like maybe Nyokin and Dandy and Terror can macro like this. Like that's about the short list of who's able to do this. Like this macro, guys, I'm telling you, like I'm a good Terran player that plays all the time. This is very, very solid macro play that we see. Like his SCV saturation is amazing. His factory add times were great. Displacement is awful because of that TPO, but he's got a scary position here. He's got those 2-1 upgrades done. Now, Dragon's starting to attack in. Dragon is basically maxed here, but as he attacks in, I think, yeah, he rightfully turns around. He doesn't really have a way to get in there and do damage. Now, looks like he wants to attack up into the double depot. I don't think that this is like a very good play. You're not gonna do anything here. Oh, okay, the side storm dropped kind of nice. That was kind of nice, but Gypsy can very easily send more units up here. This is, I mean, you're shoving your stuff up a ramp and through a tiny little hole. So as you see, like, this is a good trade for Gypsy. Dragon, in the meantime, is taking some more bases, continuing to try to force his way up here. This is, I feel like I'm in shock that Dragon is trying to push up here. Okay, loses that shuttle. Like, what has he done? He's killed some vultures, but Gypsy's on 4 base. Gypsy really doesn't care about this. Like, this is not hard to hold at all. His rally is right here. You just send units down and you hold it. Well, either way, I mean, I guess Dragon is keeping the action over on this side of the map. He's able to get his additional bases, so we're going up to 6 base right now for Dragon by taking this Nexus. Continuing to rally out. Some High Templars added in. We do have the Arbiter. I believe that's the first Arbiter of the game. We'll have to see what he wants to go for. Like, is he going to go Recall? Is he going to go Stasis? I could see both of them being pretty strong. Now look at this. Gypsy's actually adding another factory. He's going up to 10 factories right now, which you can do with this SCV count. Like his economy is really, really smooth. He's got 2 upgrades on the way. Look at this army that he's moving out with now. This is going to be really hard for Dragon to stop. He already utilized a lot of his High Templars over here, and he lost them. And his Arbiter, like, maybe during this, he can get 1 stasis out. Some storms do go down on those vultures, but Gypsy's macro out of control here. All right, Dragon walking around. I think that this is a smart play from Dragon. He can't really attack headlong into the army, but slowing down Gypsy is important. So comes up here. Gypsy going to push him back. Look at this. Oh my gosh. Okay, now Dragon's starting to go. There's not any vultures in front. I think this was actually a very good choice from Dragon. He goes ahead and actually stasises some of these tanks that are on the ramp. The Zealots, though, getting on top of these siege tanks. Storms go down on the tanks as well. Wow, and Gypsy actually, I'm getting chills right now. Gypsy, like, holds that pretty well, but I think that's as good a job as Dragon could have done given the situation. What a tough game right now. Gypsy continuing to macro like a god. 3 add-ons, plenty of other factories to pump out these vultures. He's got to reset some rally points, but his army looking super fearsome. Dragon not with a whole lot right now. Let's look at his gates. Good gate counts here. Yeah, he's adding a ton of gates down here as well. But can he live long enough to regain some control on the map? He's not quite maxed out right now. He's trying to attack into different locations to turn Gypsy around. Gypsy only leaving a small amount of units here. Pushing up towards this location, and this is exactly what he needs to do. If he can get into here and cut off the circulation, he is going to be able to take this game. So scanning underneath this Arbiter, pushing forward with these tanks. A couple Goliaths mixed in there as well for good measure. Got to continue to throw down those scans, maybe lay down some mines as well. This is getting really tough for Dragon. He's going to come in with a bit of a flank. Uh-oh. Oh, huge mine hits there from Gypsy. Dragon losing a ton of his goons on the high ground. The Vulture's coming up to pick off these High Templars as well. And Dragon has to run. He's going to end up losing this mineral base. His natural is going to get killed off as well. And his circulation is going to be cut off. Gypsy just taking a chokehold on this game. God, okay, so Dragon has a lot of gates here, and he's actually retaking this main. So he's going to have to shift how he's playing this heavily. Like, it's really hard to break out of these types of positions, but he does have some Arbiters, and if he gets gates, well, he has gates down here, so this has to be his primary production, and then hopefully he gets some recall so he can, like, take units out of this area as well more easily. But if he has that other main, yeah, I mean, I can see him getting stuff done still, right? Like, you play a little bit of a refugee Protoss style is what we used to call it, where Terran's running around killing your bases, but you have gates in other locations, right? You can continue to mine quite a bit, and maybe Terran doesn't continue to expand as much. But we see Gypsy very much on top of that as well. Comes down with this attack. He is expanding once again, taking a 5th, beautifully done, and his macro is just overwhelming Dragon at this point. It really is. This is a tough situation. What a beautiful game out of Gypsy. I gotta say, like, Dragon, maybe he still has a shot here because he is taking those other bases, but I feel like the only mistake he made this game was that attack right here. But it was kind of a big mistake, right? He lost the shuttle that had High Templars in it, so he didn't really have Psi Storms against the big push that came later. And, I mean, he lost a lot of ground units, but he could replace those. Maybe he could have gotten more gates instead of rebuying those units right then. But really, it feels like that's where he went wrong, and Gypsy just, like, infinity punished him for it. Now, Gypsy pushing up into this 4th base location. He's going to be able to kill that pretty easily. Getting ready to push down here as well. Dragon, yeah, he's taking a lot of damage. He did lose a lot of probes recently, so his army is probably not that small in comparison right now, is my guess, right? Because Gypsy has a lot of SCVs. There's a lot of SCVs on the map right now. And Dragon, again, losing that many probes. His actual army size is probably okay, but it's disjointed. He's got a very strong army here. He's got a bunch of reinforcements here. He's got some units out on the map, kind of fighting. Okay, he's going to try to come down here. He throws down a stasis on 2 of them. Not bad. Some Psy Storms coming out, getting the Zealots. Okay, maybe he can erase these tanks. The Vulture's coming up to help. Making this a little bit hard on the clear. Another good couple Psy Storms going down on those Vultures, but Gypsy will end up clearing this ground army. Dragon trying to run back up his ramp. Yeah, this is getting to be pretty dominating by Gypsy so far. His money is really kind of skyrocketing. Let's take a look at his bases. Oh, his natural's empty. His main's empty. His third actually still has... It's okay. And he's taken his 5th, which is big. We'll see if he can take a 6th base. I've only seen Flash take a 6th base in this matchup, guys, so I don't know if that's going to happen, but we'll see. Okay, and EMP goes out, hitting absolutely nothing. A second one goes out, hitting everything. Gypsy just rolling through. I don't think that Dragon's going to be able to hold on any longer. Yeah, GG is called. And Gypsy gonna take game number 1. All right, that was some fearsome macro there from Gypsy. Let's go ahead and update the scoreboard here.